It is such a joy to be with you again this year. I love coming back and seeing familiar faces year after year. It's really great. Just a little brief bit about myself. I wear a number of different hats besides being a multi-published author, which is what I'm here in that capacity tonight. I also, just 5 days ago, our son gave us a brand new grandbaby, he and his wife. And so we have, I'm a grandmother now. And a little girl, Kate Isabel. So I'm pretty much over the moon in love with that little girl. And I have her as my screensaver on my phone. So if anybody wants to see a picture. Besides that, I am a multi-published author, but I'm also a minister, licensed minister with Grace. I have my credentials with Grace. And then I'm also certified with the American Association of Christian Counselors. So I work under that capacity at our church also as far as doing counseling and ministry with women. And that's where my heart really is and has been for many, many years. I also speak occasionally to women's groups, to historical societies, book clubs, that type of thing. So I do tend to have kind of a busy life. I've got 7 books out right now, and I have 6 under contract. So I've got, and all 6 of those need to be written in the next 1.5 to 2 years. So thankfully, actually there's 7 under contract, but the one that she mentioned that's coming out, it's actually coming out June 1st. It's written and it's done, and I don't have to do anything more with it. The second one is written and done in the series. And then number 3, I'm about halfway through writing right now. So that leaves me 4 books once I finish the one I'm working on, 4 books to finish up. And I'm very excited about that because I'm going into a completely new direction that I've never done before. I just was offered a contract with David Z. Cook, that's my publisher. You're probably familiar with them. They do a lot of the Sunday school material. They do nonfiction as well as fiction. They've been around for many, many years. But they have, I'm just signing a contract with them for the 4-book series for middle grade girls, ages 8 to 12, and it's going to be horse novels. So for your little gals in that age range that are horse crazy, they're going to be clean, they're going to be Christian, they're going to have values, they're going to have life lessons in them, and the first one in the series will come out next summer, a year from this summer. I'm really excited about it. So I've been looking forward to and anticipating this conference now for several months for a really special reason. My publisher that I absolutely love, when I signed this contract with Cook a little over a year ago, I had no idea that I was going to be so in love with this company. They are so good to me. And they made a decision that's going to impact each one of you besides. I'll just explain to you real quickly. Tab, could you bring my bottle of water up? It's on the chair right there. Thank you. Thanks. There's something that's called an ARC, or an Advanced Reader's Copy, that a publisher typically does. Publisher typically does several weeks. They'll do a few dozen of them, and they will have them printed several weeks before the book actually releases, sometimes 2 or 3 months ahead of time. They send those out to reviewers, and they send them out to big reviewers, the Library Journal, Publishers Weekly, all over, and within the literary world, hoping that there might be reviews generated on that book and to get some buzz going. But that book is not an actual final copy. What it is the back doesn't have all of the same thing that would typically be on the back. Some of the interior isn't exactly the same. So they do it basically just for publicity. But my publisher decided, and my marketing director and I got together and decided she wanted to have, here it is, 300 copies of these made up, and they paid for them. Special advanced reader copies. These cannot be sold or given to anyone else. They're basically, because they haven't been proofread, the proofreading wasn't done yet, so there could be little errors in the book. It isn't going to be the final copy. They printed 300 copies of this, and I am giving one to every woman here. bit of buzz about it as I was talking, and I had a lot of people come up to me afterwards, because this book is one that really, I believe, is going to minister to women at a very deep level. It's called Blowing on Dandelions. It's a historical romance, but it has a strong women's fiction thread, as far as getting to the heart of women and women's needs. And it's about a woman who's a widow, and she has 2 young children, and she's running a boarding house in Baker City, Oregon. And her mother, who she's always had a lot of difficulty with all of her life, her mother has been controlling, manipulative, and at times even a little demeaning. And they do not get along at all. Her mother's come for visits in the past, but she's decided now that she's older, she doesn't want to be on her own, and she's coming to live with Catherine and her children. And she's moving in whether she's wanted or not. So, you can imagine. There is a romance woven into the story too, but it's about equal with this thread about Catherine and her mother. And I'm truly believing that this book is going to be a vehicle that God is going to use to minister to women, whether you're the mother and you've had difficulty with your daughter, or whether you're the daughter and you've had difficulty with your mother, or you know someone who has. I believe it will minister to you. So it's going to be out on the tables that were there for registration. I'm going to have a couple of my gals there. They're going to be giving them out. Please just take one per person. I will still be selling my other books over here at the other table. I have women's contemporary fiction as well as historical fiction, historical romance. All of my books have a strong Christian faith thread. That's really important to me, that we're able to weave that in. Now, one thing that I want to just pass along here that my marketing director asked me to ask you. She's doing this for a purpose. She's doing this to be nice, and because she wants to minister to you all. She's also doing it because she's hoping it will create what's called in the industry buzz, that people will start talking. The book releases June 1st. We would love to see at least 50 reviews out there on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, ChristianBook.com, your blog, Facebook. If you are willing to read this book and do a review on it, if you look right inside, the very first page, which typically would be your title page and then your copyright page, this is kind of different in this book. It has the marketing director's name, her phone number, and her email address. If you are willing to do a review and then send her your name and then the link to the review online, your email address and your mailing address, when the book comes out, she will mail you, direct mail you, the actual final copy free, just for doing a review. And that one you can share with family, friends, your library, whatever. We ask that you do not, please, I don't want to see any of these end up on eBay or Amazon for sale. People actually do that. They don't realize that an ARC actually is supposed to be destroyed after the reviewer reads it. Nobody does, and I don't. And I don't ask you to do that. But we do ask that you don't sell them, that you don't give them to your library, and that you don't pass them out to family and friends, because we want these to stay in your hands, and ask that you would read them and do the review. So I would really appreciate that if you could. And we did also discover, I found out from my publicist, that if I hit 50 reviews on Amazon, it changes the algorithms on Amazon, and it totally changes the way they start sending out notices about my book. I mean, it just does all sorts of cool things on Amazon. So if you're willing to do that, it would be a huge blessing. And I'd love to see you at the back table. I noticed that several people already picked up books and paid for them. If I'm not there and you want to just put the money in the basket, it's fine. Come back and bring the book back when I'm there, though, and I'll sign them for you.